Hey, buddy.
Well, good morning, kind sir.
What's going on?
Not much. My car is just driving you to LA while I talk to you guys.
Nice. Nice. Are you at the filming today?
Yeah, last day, man, last day. So, this is it.
Was it 3 days total or four, something like that?
It was it was 3 days. Yeah, it was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and you should have been here.
Yeah, I didn't get the invite, unfortunately. It's okay.
That's a lie. I invited you.
When did you invite me?
I put it in the wolf pack, bro.
I feel like I did not get this invite.
I feel like you're not reading my messages.
This was an invite to Killer Whales or to LA?
To Killer Whales, dude. I was trying to see if anybody from the wolf pack wanted to come out.
Mmm. DM me directly next time. I feel like I didn't see this. I would have maybe come out.
I will text you next time. Sorry. I apologize.
All good. I appreciate it. All right. I am ready
Oh,
to get. Oh, what's
I, I
up?
I wasn't ready for this, Gav. Like you have Catherine on stage. Like, am I worthy to be here?
This is your worst nightmare action come to life.
Wait, what? What's happening there?
We're just gonna
And,
prosecute
and, and
action live.
Sarah.
And
Well,
Sarah.
this is yeah.
Wait, is this a hater situation or a positive thing? I can't tell.
Nah, you're all too cool for me. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, I'm not too cool for anybody. I'm not very cool, so you're good.
That's a lie. She's too cool for everyone, especially you, Action.
I'm too cool for Sarah, let's be clear.
That's
But
true
that's
too.
different.
Simply put. Well, welcome to the stage, y'all. I know that more people are coming on in. I know what's his name? Alex is in Greece, I believe, on vacation. So we probably will have Penny jumping in though. I think Roz is gonna come on and a couple of others, but wanted to just get the conversation going here today and get some of your thoughts because I feel like the platform is semi-broken, and there's a few things I wanted to get thoughts on today from people on stage. There are posts that I've been bookmarking now because I am just like, how in the world does this go viral? And I'm just looking at these things and I just don't understand. And I can't tell if it's all just some type of fake engagement because a lot of these posts or the entire profile, they'll get like 4 million views and like 100 comments or 200 comments or something like that on something that is just going absolutely viral. And I'm just trying to figure out exactly what's going on here on the platform to understand. So like I'll maybe put like a couple in the top of the space that I'm like seeing where I'm like I just don't understand, exactly why these posts are going viral. Maybe it's the person, maybe it's like there's people who just built like Greg type accounts, right? Where it's just like, wow, the audience is so firm and so vast. But with Greg, I see him often getting, 1,000+ comments on his posts, even if they're dumb, right? He's getting those comments coming in. And then outside of that, there's just this pandemic of reused threads. Like I feel like I see the same exact thread reposted onto my timeline every single day. They did it with the Dan Blazarian thread. There, I don't know. There's a couple of accounts that look like I think all they do is they just try to find threads that are going viral and then just steal that thread and reuse it. A couple of days later is what it seems. From what I can tell, that's exactly what's happening. So I'm just trying to like understand what is going on here, and I'm very open to thoughts from people and insights. What do you got, Andrew?
Yeah, having worked with a bunch of these social platforms in the past and talking with them about algorithm changes, this will happen like periodically. What you anecdotally see yourself, or if you talk to other people on the platform and you suddenly feel like there is some sort of experiment happening, it probably is happening. So for me yesterday, and three of my professional social media manager coworkers gave me the same anecdote. Curious to know if you guys experienced it, but like literally yesterday, when I pulled up my feed, all of a sudden, about 1 out of 3 posts was some sort of viral video or was some sort of sports thing. I don't follow sports at all, and it was like kind of mainstream quote unquote viral content in my feed. And I had to 1 out of 3 posts manually tell X, I'm not interested in this post because I only follow like super hardcore finance and crypto and marketing things that I'm interested in. So they clearly made some sort of experiment. It may just be localized to a certain set of users in terms of the algorithm, where they're opening up quote unquote generally viral content to more users to understand what they will follow and click on. Please keep in mind when we discuss this here, based on my experience talking to engineers and the algorithm people at YouTube primarily, they tend to do experiments on pockets of users, not platform wide. And based on the results they get from those pockets of users, if they're seeing a positive impact on user retention or revenue with those pockets of users, then they'll roll them out to a wider pocket of users. And then eventually 4, 5, 6 experiments later, it can become a mainstream algorithm change to all users. So I saw this yesterday. I just talked to my CFO. He told me he watched a couple Hawk Tuohy videos, and then all of a sudden his feed is like full of total nonsense yesterday. It was a total algorithm shift. I had my algo under control. It was only serious stuff. And then yesterday it became total nonsense, like viral Facebook, like type clips and general audience types clips. Did anybody else here experience a change like this recently, or was it just maybe me and Wolf that are experiencing this?
Well, it definitely became my entire timeline. And I also would just point out that anytime I see these threads where I look at them and I go, wow, that's a really, I just saw that yesterday. Or, wow, that seems like an odd ratio of 5,000 likes to 33 comments. I then just take the post and I copy the caption and I put it into the search bar and I'm like, wow, you're the 50th person to make this exact thread, word for word. And you yourself posted it a year ago. I saw one of those big accounts like Juju or whatever it was. They made a post yesterday and then someone commented underneath and was like, really, bro, stealing my post? And they like commented, like showing that they had made the same post like 4 hours earlier. And then the account, Juju, replied back to them and was like, how could you steal it if this was already my post from a year ago? And show that they were just reposting the same content from a year ago of their own. And I was like, this is the dumbest argument of all time. There's no originality. What's up, Catherine?
Hey, I haven't had quite the exact same experience in my timeline, because one thing is like I don't really see a lot of people that I follow in my timeline. I don't get notifications properly either for the people who have set it on for. So I mean, my experience is just kind of negative in that way, or rather, like, I'm not seeing the people I'm supposed to be seeing, and certain people I haven't seen in years. And then but in general, I'm finding it like I've talked to a lot of people, so the deboosting is very significant for a lot of people. Where there's just a lot of people who say that they've lost their reach, completely has gone down, and I've seen their stats. It checks out, and there was like a period of higher engagement, and then it kind of where it felt like normal, and then it kind of went down again. So it's been up and down a lot, very inconsistent. But also noticing where certain accounts, for some reason, and it doesn't have that much to do with their follower count, they will get massive like visibility and at least likes, not always, like you guys noted, not always so many comments, which is an interesting indicator. But some people will get also a lot of comments, but it seems like they are very visible. And it could be, one reason, of course, that they're user base is in fact very engaged with them, because maybe they built a more personal connections to the audience, and I think that plays some role. But in some cases it just doesn't seem to be connected, and there's certain posts that will go viral, often false things, and it's like it goes viral immediately, and other things where it should really do well or go viral, and it just does not take off. I also noticed that in my account, there was a change about maybe now 3 weeks ago or a month ago, And so my viewer count is much lower than it used to be. And then for a while, like the engagement was higher. So I was thinking, oh, maybe they got rid of, because one of the reasons that people's accounts may be suffering is because maybe they have unengaged or bot followers. So when they go online, and when they post, basically what happens with the algorithm is that because they have so many people who are actually not truly following them, they register as follows or views, but they're not engaging. So it sends the algorithm a signal saying, hey, that person's post sucks. Let's not show it to any more people. So that could be part of why people are suffering, but it doesn't, it's hard to understand why some people's accounts where they might be the same size or even smaller are doing so incredibly well and others are not, beyond the only explanation that is like a legitimate explanation for some of them is that they've built like very personal relationships with all their followers. Maybe like all their followers come from Spaces or something like that. But I think a lot of accounts are just getting the sense that, they have real followers and people who would be engaged with them, but they're just not even being shown a fraction of the content. So, yeah.
Catherine, I noticed also that it doesn't seem to matter as much whether someone follows you or not. My indication is that it matters a lot more how catchy and what the percentage of interactions are at the very beginning. So, like, I'm seeing some of my posts have a much smaller reach than they used to. But when I nail one, it's a much bigger reach. It's like the disparity between my worst posts and best
I was
are really big.
experiencing that for a while where I noticed that some of my posts were just like taking off in a way that I hadn't seen in a while. But then now I don't see that's not happening at all. And again, I think when people's behavior hasn't changed, but the situation changed, that tells me that there's something with the environment, not necessarily with the actual tweets. With you, Penny, I think in general, you've grown an account where it's much more based on interactions and, you ask questions and so people, I think your following is just organically going to be more engaged. But I think with a lot of people, it's just something where they've seen just such a tremendous change without them necessarily doing something different.
Yeah, it definitely feels like it changed. But you said something like content that should go viral doesn't, and content from certain accounts seems to go viral regularly. And I agree with that in the sense that, like, an article that I think is really cool, I'm like, man, that should go viral. But only I thought it was really cool, and it didn't have a catchy enough headline or something like that, right? So it gets a
I mean,
1,000
look,
or 2,000 views. But then if I made like a really inciting, like, angry statement at the beginning of a post, it almost doesn't matter what else I do after that. It's probably going to get a lot more views because people are going to interact with it,
I
right?
mean,
Like,
that's
that's what I'm
always
seeing.
gonna, yeah, and that's always gonna play a role. I guess what I'm saying is that like people who would have their posts would have consistently gone viral or at least gotten picked up to some extent. Like I think what we notice is really the difference. Like you can't predict 100% something is going to go viral or even be popular, but you have a sense when it's your own account how often things do or or what the engagement level is, and and so what when you notice a difference when you haven't changed anything about what you do, then you see that okay, something is off. And I think it's just the sheer amount, Penny, of the accounts that have come forward and I've spoken to and directly and people have been posting about it. It's just clearly there's something different. And there was like a week or two where suddenly things felt just really good and then it kind of went away.
I mean, I'm not denying the change. I 100% agree there was a major change. My own posts are behaving way differently. I'm just trying to figure out how to work with, whatever we have now. And I'm having, some success, and other things fall pretty flat on their face, right? But I think the main thing is that it's less important whether someone follows you or not, right? It used to be that it would go out to most of your followers, and now it seems like that's less important.
Which I don't don't think is a great thing. I mean, you want the boost coming from other people as well, because you want to be exposed to a new audience, but you should really be able to reach a decent fraction of the people who follow you. And I think a lot of, even from the follower side of things, a lot of people complain that they're like, well, I'm following since I never see them in my feed. And so it's like, I think there needs to be a good ratio of that. And if you're coming across a tweet by someone you've never even like encountered, you might not even really look at it, might not even read the whole thing. So you have a higher likelihood of somebody's engagement not registering because they just scroll by. I mean, when we see these huge numbers of like, oh my gosh, 2,000 people viewed this, like even 2,000 people, which is a very small amount, is actually kind of a large amount. You know, when you think about it, 2,000 people viewed the whole thing. That's really cool. However, I just don't think that's actually what's happening. It's like 2,000 people somehow scrolled without probably even seeing it. So that's where, and this is where I noticed one change that I did notice for the better for a while was, I noticed that the number of likes and thus engagement was higher when the numbers got lower. So I thought that was an interesting metric. But yeah, I think like you're right that like what can we do about it, I guess. But yeah, but it is certainly an issue. I think it's just been really hard to, I think the algorithm is so dynamic that I think anytime you introduce a little change, it just affects so much and can be unpredictable. And then on top of it, you also have some, manufactured outsider interference. So you have bots for sure, but you also have groups of people who retweet each other and prop up each other, and so it creates a disproportionate mechanism, which I believe is against the rules also, but hard to enforce. So I think that also creates a situation like that. And I imagine in some cases there are tweets where they're very organized, where it's like, they might have even a massive group outside of Twitter, especially with anything to do with activism. I think a lot of activist things have massive groups outside of Twitter or like a list that they have where they will just immediately boost or deboost a post, because some of them will, they'll report it, or, so there's a lot of like mechanisms outside of just the like official Twitter.
I'm going through my feed right now, having marked about 40 posts as not interested. Just anecdotally here, guys, they're doing massive experiments. I just said I was not interested in hot Australian girls, in Botox versus no Botox, people twerking as Toy Story characters at a birthday party.
Sarah's very upset by what you're saying right now, so you should have done a trigger warning. That's not cool.
Sorry, I should have done a trigger warning. It's just they're clearly doing experiments, and my feed is full of just total nonsense all of a sudden in the For You tab. But they have added more robust not interested features, where you can say not interested in this post, not interested in this person versus this specific content. You can also say I'm not interested in posts based on my likes. And you can also say you're not interested in the post based on a category of content that it falls into. So it appears that they're trying to do a more robust, like manual cataloging
Andrew,
right now of content.
That's broken as well, though. I have hit not interested on the same post probably 5 or 6 times, and it still shows up. I will see that type of content or that post being fed to me over and over and over again. Even if I were to mute certain words, I still get that content and those posts. So there is something clearly broken. I just think that X will never fix this. Alex always says, and he's absolutely right, 2-3 years ago, nobody talked about the algorithm. Nobody. I never once heard anybody talking about the algorithm a few years ago. And now today, it's all anybody talks about. And that is, I think, a really big highlight of what the problem is. Something is broken and it needs to be fixed.
A big reason for that is because they added monetization for impressions. That is the number one driver why it's getting so much attention.
It ruined
Agreed.
it.
David,
Everything
that-
changes when you add money to the mix. And plus, then you had the political censorship, and so when people feel like that they're being throttled because of their political views, they're very sensitive to it. So you have an entire faction, and I would argue even the more prevalent faction ideologically on X now, who is always watching for suspensions, for throttling, for reach, and then you add the monetary incentive on top of it. So now everybody's hyper focused. We're in an election year. Everybody's hyper focused on impressions and reach right now.
I do
When
think
you
people
say
were talking
everyone,
about it before, though, so I wouldn't say that there was no. I think you're right in the sense that it increases it, but definitely there's been a lot of talk before. I do think people always talked also, of course, about shadow banning because they were so sensitive to political. Now, I don't think anything going on the platform right now has anything to do with politics. I think it's, or even intentionality outside of like outsider groups. I think it's mostly just like not being able to figure out an algorithm that quite works.
Well,
And Catherine, you're right.
what's X's policy on accepting political advertising? Because if they are accepting it, that is the
That's
biggest
all I
advertising
see,
spender for
Andrew.
2024.
I see campaign ads every day, all
That's
day.
all I see. I mean, I can click down your post and I'll see Carrie Lake 5 times. That's all I see.
I get 0 political ads.
yeah, I don't really get political ads either.
Me either. I never got
Same.
political ads.
Right.
Well, I get
It's
some
based
really
on your
good.
testosterone count. So those with higher testosterone count, they see political ads. Just want to throw that out there.
Awesome.
That's weird.
Diligent
Well, you
just
and Sarah both have beards, so I guess that makes sense.
I was just gonna say that it's great that Diligent finally pointed out that I am more of a man than he and Penny as a woman. So thank you.
She definitely gets more political ads than you, Diligence, so that makes sense.
Yeah, more of a man.
I don't get any political ads. However, political ads do encompass a pretty large amount of spending on social media in general and all platforms. So it's like nothing new. So people do care. Part of why I think it was Facebook that let Donald Trump back on. I'm sure it had quite a bit to do with political spending. It is a big moneymaker for a lot of these platforms. I still don't think it's like I don't think that's what's driving this particular issue, but is there political ad hoarding? I'm sure. I don't think a lot of politicians are on the Democrat side are going to go for X as much as the Republicans, but especially at this point. But there's definitely political ads happening on here.
And Catherine,
I-
like the political thing just makes people hypersensitive to what they think is actually happening. So I think you nailed it
Yeah.
dead on first off there. But as far as algorithm talk goes, like that's been happening forever about other platforms. And it is because of monetization, like years and years and years. I'm talking about a decade long here. There have been videos and things about that when it comes to YouTube. Now that people are going, wait, I can make money on Twitter as well. Like that's why things are being just highlighted. But I don't know how Andrew hasn't figured this one out yet, though. Andrew, like you're the one who always talks about the more you spend, trying to get your content out there, the more they're going to, force you to spend to be seen. And I agree with you. That's the same thing what you're doing, dude. Like they're sending you all of these crap posts because they know you're going to give them feedback. They're literally using you for feedback. So the more feedback you give them, the more feedback they want.
That's a good point. I guess the feedback loop though is broken if I'm so you're saying they're optimizing the algorithm to get people to click not interested. That seems like a pretty counterintuitive way to get like qualified spenders to see the appropriate content and then click through and become a buyer. Like it seems like they would be optimizing the algorithm to piss users off so they like hate the platform. I understand they want to optimize.
It's so annoying to have to click it, and then when you see the same it's not even the same type of content. It is the exact same post. You can click it 6 times and you will see the exact same post again. It is
By the
annoying.
way, I don't even have the option to click not interested on my phone. So just FYI. So not even everyone.
That must make Tinder a real fun place to be.
That's why I'm not on there.
I just scrolled by your profile and I clicked interested on Tinder there, Catherine. So nice try.
Why are you in the female section of the Tinder profiles, Sarah?
Didn't we just already discuss
Yeah.
I'm more of a man than Diligent and Penny, so I think that's
Oh,
where I belong.
okay, that tracks.
I get political ads. Penny's the one that doesn't get political ads, so
Well,
it was
but
Penny. It wasn't me.
what ads are you
I'm
getting,
actually they're
Penny?
actually flashing by my screen right now as I'm looking at the space. That's
It's
how many
probably because
political ads
all
I
you
get.
talk about is politics, whereas
That's
Penny doesn't talk about politics very much.
well, Penny, what kind of ads do you get? Like, I heart Elon. Elon is the greatest.
That's not
SpaceX.
politics.
What
That is
What are
politics.
you getting?
Yeah, you're right. That's social politics, but not like right. Fair enough.
I get the CBD gummies in every post. That's
Oh,
my
I get the
Oh,
chimichong. What's his name? I get him all the
Cheech and
time.
Chong.
That's
Cheech
because
and
they know
Yeah,
you're in California, right?
I'm
That's
in New
why.
York. I get a lot. I get a lot of stock market ones. I know that tracks, but I mean they're at least targeting me well.
I get
I get
Jamal
YouTube
Bowman.
music ads. Oh, sorry, Catherine. I get
Yeah,
YouTube
no, you
music
go.
ads for some reason. I get YouTube music ads for some reason. I have no idea why. Like I have never I mean, oh, you know what? It does make sense because I do engage with like Mr. Beast and MKBHD and all those people. So maybe, I don't know, but I've never really mentioned or posted about YouTube like that. It's weird.
I'd
So I brought
I'd rather get those ads. I get like stupid games that never download in a million years. I think the ads on X are pretty blah, not very well done or targeted. Like I'm definitely somebody who can succumb to advertising, specifically advertising of products that are relevant to me or kind of like intriguing. And like Instagram ads does a really good job of that actually, but the Twitter one has always been bad, by the way. This predates Elon. I don't think it's ever been good.
I think you're right because Instagram knows me. I scroll through my Instagram feed. I have at least half a dozen things that I will either buy within the next week or put into my little shopping cart to buy later. I think that is where X is missing. They are
Well,
not.
Grok can do such a good job of analyzing what kind of stuff you might like. They have so much more data on you. Actually, they could have really, as the kids say, lit advertising because of actually they have way more data on most of us than any of
I
the other
agree.
platforms. Yeah.
I would agree, and I'm surprised because on Instagram I could probably ballpark it. This year alone, I've probably spent $1,000 just off things that are targeted towards me on Instagram. I think that if X did the Instagram model for advertising, it would people would be willing to buy. If I went down Penny's timeline and I saw a bunch of plaques for dogs or dog leashes, dog collars, which would make sense for Penny, dog collars, but I would be inclined to click buy and do
I
so.
appreciate your support, Sarah. Like this is the only $1,000 I made all year, and I know it's single-handedly coming from you. Thank you.
You're welcome. But it just blows my mind that some of the things that are marketed towards me are things that I would never ever click on. And I think Diligent touched on that. There are things that we are targeted towards these ads that we're receiving. Diligent, have you ever once even clicked on one of those ads, read through it, clicked purchase?
Never, not one time, not one time.
But
Yeah,
have you on Instagram?
I mean,
I
that
mean, have you? I don't know if you're on Instagram, but
No, I don't use Instagram. But Facebook, I was an avid user of Facebook, and I had a decent size. I have a decent size following on Facebook until they like shadow banned me and restricted me for like a year. That's why I came here. But anyways, I was presented with ads on there constantly, and they were the worst kind of ads. They would be like Temu pictures of like just horrible things. Like not, you know what I mean? Like the worst type of content, the worst type
Temu is
of product.
everywhere. Is insane. The Temu ads,
Yeah,
that's the one thing that stalks me across every single platform. They've put in so much money, but that's because they sell you. It's not about selling you cheap stuff. It's about getting your data.
Well, and once they get you, like my dad signed up for that site and it was all he could talk about for like 3 months. It'd be like, "Oh my god, they do this and they do this." And he just like he recently retired, right? So he use it as like a study. He wanted to see how they were hooking people. That was actually really him making an excuse
I
for being
think
hooked himself.
I
But it was so entertaining. They are really good. Whoever's
Did
behind
you
that
buy
is
some good
smart as
stuff?
hell.
Did you buy some good stuff?
Oh my god, every Christmas, birthday, whatever, we're guaranteed to get, like, some kind of weird screwdriver or flashlight or whatever from Temu, 100%.
flashlight. What?
Yeah, Timu's a new QVC, dude. 100%.
I see Visigrad down there. They had their account suspended and came back. I don't know if you guys can get them up, but they're pretty awesome.
I
And
saw the invite.
congratulations and welcome back, Visigrad.
So just to
Sean.
give you guys an idea, within marketing agencies in the ad spend world, which I talked to a bunch of CEOs that run the ad spend agencies just to get my finger on the pulse on what's working right now in marketing versus not. If you're trying to convert a customer, like spend X dollars and they get X conversions for selling a product, you do not spend on X. You spend on Facebook and Instagram by proxy, and you spend on Google. You can get great conversions because of their targeting. They have better data sets. And a huge part of it is that their business platform is vastly superior to X's. The only reason to spend on X is to get awareness and on like the awareness level of a campaign, or if you would like social proof to prove that whatever you're selling or whatever you're talking about is liked by other people, and then buying engagements. And so that's why
So
we're
you're
experiencing so much that's part of why you experience so much nonsense on X, is because that's all you can effectively buy as an advertiser. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some exceptions of some products that can convert well on X. But in general, marketers can spend a sub 10% of their budget on X, because at the end of the day, all the customer cares about is how many dollars did you spend and how many conversions did I get on the other side.
So you're part of
Twitter.
the problem, Andrew. You're advising people not to spend on X. That's what's going on. Like, I know we complain a lot about, oh, we're seeing this, we're not seeing that, but advertisers are a pretty big, person here to blame if you think about it. Like, if they're not spending the right amount of money with the right kind of product to put in front of us, yeah, first off, we're not going to buy. And secondly, I think it's to X's own detriment that we are a little bit more sophisticated people. We don't get, drawn into the clickbait as much as
Disagree.
other people would on Instagram. I mean, you just heard Sarah. She spent $1,000 and gave it directly to Catherine here. So that's not happening on X. That's happening on other platforms where we have weak-minded
And
people.
see, I don't think it's about discernment or the spends. I mean, an advertising agency is not going to like risk huge funds if they have no proof. Like, it's just, it doesn't convert. And I don't think it's about the number, because the way that an agency would measure it, they would look, okay, we did a test campaign, we spent, $10,000, $5,000, whatever. And this is the return on investment. And that return is, if it's extremely low, why would they go and spend more money? I think it's just a culture of not buying, and I think not relevant, and also how they view the ads. When you're scrolling through, I mean, it works for Instagram because you are scrolling through and the ads are, sometimes the ads show up in the stories, and I think that's a pretty effective because they get a lot of time to tell you their story if they make a good ad. So it's about the quality of the ad, which that's up to the advertiser, but also you have people scrolling through it in a way where they would watch it. And I think a big part of it is really relevancy. And it's interesting, again, X can actually excel there because they have so much data, but the other platforms, but they don't. And it's the quality of the ads doesn't match up. And I don't think people are more discerning here, I mean, because, we see some of the tweets that go viral.
But like,
I feel like
just
you're
to
just
throw this
trolling
out
me.
there,
Sorry, go ahead, Evan.
I think a fundamental truth about advertising is when you're putting it around text, it does fine, good. When you put it around pictures, between pictures, it does better. When you put it between video or before or after a video, it does the best. Long form video, the best. And we're playing in a game at the lowest end of it. That's just the truth of it. And I think that's why you're seeing X focus a lot more on video and content and all this stuff. I'm shocked they haven't thrown ads and spaces or anything like that. But I know we've been over this about the
That's coming.
numbers,
That's coming.
but yeah.
Well, the other part of it is influencer marketing. So on all the other platforms, they do a lot of that. They don't. It's non-existent pretty much for X, or almost non-existent. Like the major platforms where people might even want to sign up, they don't even include X, and that doesn't necessarily make sense. Part of it is because your views are just not like, even if you have like 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 impressions, I don't think it registers as quite real in the way it does on other platforms. And then there isn't that culture. They haven't established that. But if you have the right product, let's say there's this American right-wing beer, because this platform has become so much more right-wing. Ashley, I believe Sinclair, she posted about it and she made like a whole video, and that did really well. I mean, it was free. The company didn't even pay her, but like that was such a good plug. So when you do it that way, especially when you start doing more video content, it can have a big impact. Especially since you might have a very loyal following, and if you give them the right product, then they engage with it. So that's an untapped area of X, but advertisers are just not looking at influencers that way. Like if I had the same following as I do now on Instagram or something like that, I would be getting ads like sponsored, and that content. It's just influencer marketing is very, very effective because you're not just throwing an ad at someone. You're having someone that an audience has built trust with, as long as they don't betray that trust by plugging products that are nonsense. If they can maintain that trust, they will sell so much more products than any ad will ever do.
All right, I have to
You-
respond to
Now,
Action
I
because he
gotta
just
say, Catherine, I've spent about $500,000 over the course of the last 6 months or so with different companies with influencer marketing, both here on X and YouTube. So people that are that are leveraging my reach for advertising with these other influencers, they want YouTube, but they understand the value of X, so they're always asking for it. Can I also get some posts? Can I also get some content on X? Because they know that people that are on this platform have money. They know that people on this platform will actually move the needle for a lot of things that I deal with inside of crypto. So the influencer marketing is happening more and more. It's just inside of different little niches, right? Like I was it last week? Yeah, I got $1,000 just literally show up in a space and listen, not even talk, not even go on the stage. So that stuff is happening. People just aren't aware of it.
So it all depends on what sector you're in as to whether they're interested in marketing on X. I run my own talent agency, and also a bunch of my friends started their own. And generally, these talent agencies that sell ad deals, they're going to be bulk YouTube. Most of them are built on the back of YouTube. Like 70 to 90% of the revenue is YouTube influencer marketing, because YouTube converts the best in terms of influencer marketing. And then that sub 30% or less is going to be Instagram and TikTok. And then you may have a couple percent points for other platforms like X and otherwise. So this platform just does not convert well in most verticals, but in crypto and tech, it does. So there's definitely an exception there for you. I have to respond to what you said earlier, though, Action. You literally blamed advertisers.
But know that crypto's where it's at, man. Thank you. But go ahead.
Crypto is where it's at. I market in crypto too. But you literally blamed advertisers a minute ago for X being an ineffective platform for advertisers. That was the most absurd, triggering thing that has triggered me ever. Like, that's like blaming a customer for going into a restaurant for the food and service being bad. That's so crazy. Advertisers should be able to put money into X and have it convert as well as, if not better than, Facebook and Google. That's X's problem, not the customer's problem. Get out of here with that.
It's like what the U.S. government does to all of us. Evan, did you want to jump in? I saw your hand up.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I would love to see the direction this goes. It feels like there's a couple pockets of really like where X, as you said there, investing is one of them. I think sports is another one of them. I think politics is probably another one of them too. And seeing them double down in those, creating own little hubs for those things on here, and the type of advertising you can get when you niche down like that, I think those are high spend areas. And I think that's where X does better. So I really think they should just focus on what they have good get the areas that are expensive and that they have big influences on to an area where it gets higher revenue, and then worry about everything else after.
If it was me, by the way, what I would do if I was an advertiser, I would advertise subscription services to Blue X users only, because we already know that they're willing to pay for a check mark for the Blue service. Then that would almost guarantee it to have a pretty good
Bro,
return.
I see like 10 ads a day for me to upgrade from premium to premium plus or whatever it is. I don't know about you guys.
I don't see it.
Never ever see a post about premium, or I mean, an ad about premium ever.
Well, do you have Premium Plus already? Because if you have it, you won't see ads for it.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, so if
Wait.
you don't have it, it just sits there on your timeline. If you do have it, you never see it. I know this because I have
Did you
one
just
account that does.
did you just call her out for being a peasant? Is that what just happened? Just want to make sure.
No.
She has the higher one. She has the higher one.
I just
Yeah.
have two
On
different.
Not a
Ani, Gab
peasant.
is trying to say that he'll pay for you. He's going to take care of you.
Everybody, you get premium. You get premium. Hey, real quick, before we go to the other hands, Roz, I saw you popped up and you're just chilling up here. What do you think of how the timeline's been looking lately?
I was like half asleep. I was up all night into the morning about the Atlanta thing, incident. So I was, yeah, with that. But yeah, it's quite interesting with the check marks and everything. I mean, if they put more advertisement and everything, then maybe. But yeah,
I hear you. No worries. Doing the good work, keeping
yeah,
us up to date with the news. All good.
yeah.
What's up? What's up, Cade?
Yo, yeah, the advertising conversation is pretty interesting for me. It's more of a niche topic. I don't hear too many people talking about this topic in particular, to be honest. I hear a lot more about how to hack the algorithm. I know on TikTok, I do a lot of stuff there, and I've always done review content on pretty much all platforms, and I never really experienced anyone running ads on my videos until I tapped into the TikTok shop world. I don't know if you guys remember that blew up hard. It's still going hard, but there was a period of time where it was just parabolic in every way possible. And I remember I did this review video, and I was just reviewing these like energy drinks. They were all right. They weren't the best thing in the world, but I basically did this series where I was reviewing ice cream, I was reviewing energy drinks, I was reviewing basically anything I wanted to get for free if possible. And I ran a really good one. It was like Dave 500 something on doing all these energy drinks, and it just like killed. It did really really well, I guess, for the distributor or for the company. And so he started running ads on my video, and it went from like 8,000, 9,000. It got to like 20,000 views. And I was like, oh, this is crazy. And then I woke up the next day and it had 175,000 views. And I was like, oh, what just happened? And then I got a notification and said, hey, the company is running ads on your video. You're getting a little commission. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be rich. So I wake up 2 days later, it's at like 800,000, a million. It's like over 1 million views right now. I think I've earned $100 from that video because I realized my commission was like basically nothing, you know. I was so sad, but I've never experienced that where they were running an ad on my video just because they could. I guess I signed some kind of contract over, but it was pretty cool. At least got some followers. I got a few other people reached out to me to do some reviews, but that was pretty
You know
interesting.
what's interesting and worth bringing up is that video content in general, like, right, if you have a video that goes very viral on here, you'll earn something, but not a ton. Like, if you compare it to the YouTube one, like, if I had the same videos that I've had go as viral on YouTube, I would get paid significantly more. So that is something that is also keeping people from getting too deeply into the video world. And maybe that will change once the full video ad thing rolls out. But right now, that's the situation. So the payments were, I think, because people were not being paid at all before. Everyone just really was excited about it. It's nice to get something, but if you were just like thinking about it in terms of comparing to other platforms, it's not on the same level. Which Twitter's maybe not making as much, so I understand that. But yeah, it changes what kind of content people put out.
I think part of it is that they're focusing on the money licensing right now. Like, their teams are very small, and so they can't really cover a broad scope of areas at one time. So they're like focusing on key things. They have prioritized certain aspects of the platform over others. And I think that when we see like, well, some of these things haven't changed, some of these things haven't improved, since Twitter 1.0, I think that's because they're focusing on things that we're not completely aware of, for one, and things that we're not going to see a change for until the product rolls out. And I know money licensing is one, and I think that when they get money licensing, it's going to change how advertising is done on this platform completely, right? Because they're going to embed stores under posts where you can buy right there with a click of a button, and it'll be more streamlined because the transactions are going directly through X. Your monetary value is going to be stored directly on the platform. It's going to be easier to trade, and I think that's kind of like, I think once we see that roll out, we'll see a lot more, broader changes when it comes to monetization and even advertising and videos, so forth. That's just how I speculate, but I think it's probably pretty spot on.
Yeah, I see a hand up from Asio.
Yeah, thank you. So I think that there's a lot that X can do to make advertising happen that it hasn't quite had a handle on yet. And so there's a crazy like amount of resources we have with our intellectual capital, like the diversity of our voices, like the way each of us have idiosyncrasies and we're funny. Like the primary function of marketing isn't to inform, it's to confuse. So advertising shouldn't look like advertising. It should look like something that is awesome and hilarious that you want to put the playback on. Like Kumar Spaces, for example. You know, we all know what that is. Much love to Kumar. But like Delta Airlines could have an option like accept ad on the top of the space. Want to get away? Well, of course you do. You're in Kumar Space. That would viralize. And you have an option as to how you want to say it. Do you want to put an accent on it? And then the agreement could be like you get a certain amount after a certain amount of playbacks.
PSYOP, Delta paid her.
What's up?
I said the PSYOP is that Delta paid you, right? Like that's why you're bringing Delta up.
No.
I
It's just
love
an
the idea that
example.
you just brought up of letting advertisers like buy inventory while the inventory is open. Like
Yes.
imagine being like at a stadium in real life and then be like, I want my brand on that billboard. Go boop on your phone and all of a sudden your company's on the billboard. That's cool. What
Right.
would be even cooler, and I know we're kind of waxing philosophic here, is if there was a bidding war between advertisers and they could run the price up on buying that inventory at the top of a space. So
Absolutely.
if that technology existed, that would be fabulous. There
Yeah.
are some companies that tried stuff like that through Twitch live streaming technology where they could buy inventory on this platform. I think it was called Loots, and it would pop up video ads on people's streams, and then you could bid against each other for it. I've never seen it executed like in the beautiful way that you just kind of pitched, but that's a great idea.
Thank you. Like
That's how Google AdWords works, right? I mean, it's the same thing, but changing it into the digital format to like actually have. Well, no, it actually already happens. Google actually does this really well. With Google AdWords, you can literally set this up to have your display ads show up in different places based on how much you're paying for it.
so the AI actually exists for this. It just has to be integrated or developed. So like let's say Sarah's hosting a space and it's at the end of the night, and Sarah's like, "Oh, you guys, I'm tired." Like, "Hey, brought to you by My Pillow." That could be an option. Like, it'd be funny and memorable.
You'd need AI to identify those moments quickly, though, because an advertiser isn't going to be sitting in every space like to
Absolutely.
see
No,
that. So, yeah.
right, of course. So the way that I would develop it is that you would have certain categories of advertisers that would populate at certain times of night with certain people that are hosting and read the demographics of the room. So you'd have like consumer brands, like I mean, a number of things. So those options would pop up on the top of the space, and you would select accept ad, and then get to read your version of it.
I think the question is though, are
Be
there enough
interesting.
people hosting
Lucas, I
spaces?
saw you came up. Did you have any thoughts here on how
Okay.
the algo's
Yeah.
been treating you lately?
Yeah, it depends on when you post. It's always about time of when you post and how, like, what kind of content you post, things like that. In terms of audio spaces versus video, I think video definitely obviously has a bigger play, which is why I switched to video for a while here. So I don't know, guys. The algo is definitely in a strange spot because they're kind of like leaning between. I think we heard this last week and on your space, Wolf, on the same space last week was the Twitter guy was basically explaining how he's doing. Like they're gonna make sure that the video spaces, like a space with video in it, are gonna be the ones that are gonna be number one pretty soon. As soon as they fix a couple of things on their side, and streaming live is not going to be as valuable as a video space.
He didn't say
Video
that
slash audio
video
space.
spaces were going to be the top. He didn't say that.
Yeah, he did actually, but that's okay. That's one of the things he said last week. But he definitely said streaming wasn't going to be favored, which I was surprised about because I think streaming's easier. And that's where I was like really disappointed because I have a pretty good setup in terms of video now, with streaming wise. And he was like, we were going to start. The goal is to make the video space or the spaces in video a little bit more at the top. And that's what I think, Wolf. I think you even said that as well. Was you were having a setup so that you can start doing spaces with video or something like that. I'm pretty sure that was the conversation.
Video,
Definitely a work in progress. What's up, Doja?
video, video spaces have been out and functional with multi-screen, multi-user video for, I would say, probably a month now, and they just haven't really landed well with the social audio format of spaces, right? Like it's just, I see people hosting them all the time. It's just the people love spaces because they don't have to watch the screen the entire time. It's not necessary for them to enjoy the content. What, Wolf? Are you trying to say something?
No, sorry. I had to reload the space because I couldn't hear you. So I think it just unmuted me.
Oh, yeah. So what I said is that, people love spaces because they don't have to pay attention to the screen the entire time. And it's also, they don't have to prepare to be in front of a camera the entire time, right? It adds a level of convenience that video or live streaming doesn't, it doesn't have. And so I think that, I think video spaces probably will take off in their own right, but he didn't say that, just video spaces were going to be prioritized over everything else. He felt like eventually they would probably be the dominant form of spaces. I don't really see that, but it's whatever. People have been saying that ever since they announced video spaces, and I haven't seen, audiences really take well to it, not at scale. And we're going to have a space with Mark Coleman, who is the lead engineer over media at X tomorrow night. So Lucas, definitely come if you have any questions for him. They're going to be bringing the timeline people with them about spaces visibility and trying to get it so that they're prioritized in feeds and not diminished like they already are right now. They're being punished for being a link. But I think that's going to change. I don't know if they've changed it already, but definitely check that out. There's a link from the X Spaces account that's on my timeline if you want to set a reminder. And watch out for the debate tonight. Big Spaces coming tonight for the debate.
I agree, by the way, Diligent. I agree. I think audio spaces are awesome. Like I'd rather do audio spaces. Like 9 out of 10 times, I'd rather be on audio. It's absolutely the most convenient platform. But whether or not they're going to prioritize them, I just thought I believe he said that, but maybe again I could be wrong. Of course, I thought he said last week that they were prioritizing video spaces over even streaming, which I was like, that's really a crappy situation. So
I think what they're going to do is combine them, Lucas. I think we're going to see a version of video spaces that looks a lot like live streaming, right? You're going to be able to share your desktop. You'll be able to hook up whatever other media equipment and microphones and not just use the one on your phone. I think a desktop based, spaces video hosting is eventually going to sort of be the best of both worlds, where it's like a live stream, but you can bring up a panel and talk with them. And it only makes sense. It's basically the same technology. Why would you host both separately? So I think they're going to bring them together.
Yeah, good
And
idea.
Diligent, to your point, Diligent, like, yeah, the barrier to entry for Spaces is way lower than having to stream on YouTube or any other platform. But I'm sure X sees the value of having video on there because it increases engagement, right? Like, you're not just gonna sit there idly listening to something passively. Like, you're actually gonna be looking at something, which means eyeballs on the app is exactly what they need.
I think screen sharing is going to be the biggest game changer when it comes to video spaces. Because you have the option for live and it has a chat in there. It even has like subscriber functionality where you have a badge and I think subscribers are maybe prioritized in the feed. I'm not sure, but I think that once they add video sharing and that works well without a huge lag between the audio of the speakers and the listeners and what they're seeing on their screen, I think that's probably the biggest hurdle that they have, is trying to get the lag down to where you can stream video and everybody in the space is seeing and hearing everything synced up together. I know that's, I watched Andrew he's down there. He owns Spaces Dashboard. He did a video stream he streamed a screen share into a video space during the launch, and there was a ton of audio sync issues. So I think that, that's going to be probably the biggest game changer when we can do watch parties together in a space. Watching events like the debates coming up tonight, being able to watch that in a space and see live engagement and social interaction during that, between more than just, a single figure who's hosting, I think is going to be a game changer when it comes to the video spaces. Until that happens, I don't really see them taking off, but that's just my opinion.
You're crazy, man. CNN said you can't do that.
Elon said that he's not going to punish us for streaming it, so I'm going with Elon. That's my boy.
I'm co-hosting that, by the way, so if anyone wants to join us later, please do. It's going to be a marathon.
Let's go. All right, I'm working on graphics. We're going to plaster this all over.
Did you hear the tears in Penny's voice as he said, it's going to be a marathon? Because
he's not lying. We had a conversation earlier, and he told me what time he's going to start and what time we're going to end, and he asked me to co-host. I'm like, are you kidding me? You want me to do that? Oh my God.
You know what? I'm actually going into the real world to watch the debates, but I'm going to a Democratic watching party. So that should be interesting.
Well, it's because they scheduled the debate for so late, right? So, I think the debate is scheduled for 9:30 Eastern time, which is already pretty late. It goes for an hour and a half with commercial breaks in there. I mean, so it's going to be 11:30 Eastern time before it's even over, and then you got to have commentary afterwards. So, blame CNN. The CNN is
that is late. That is actually
that's way past their bedtimes, guys. I don't know what they're thinking.
Yeah, but it's also, they want to show that they both can stay awake for that long. So that's important because the voters really care about that because, a lot of people don't think that they can stay up. So they're both drinking. I have it on good source that has said that they're both preparing by drinking a lot of Red Bull. So that's going to play a role, probably going to be the presenter of the event. And it should be interesting. But also, I mean, they can't start it too early because you want it on Pacific time. They could have done 8. I probably would have done 8.
There's so much we can do with this. And by the way, Diligent, that's a brilliant headline. Debate so late. So, if for real. So, anytime Biden glitches, Catherine could do her AI voice. Error 404. Unknown.
I'm gonna do it for both. I'm gonna be a nonpartisan person at the debates. And I'm gonna do voiceover commentary, but I'm trying not to get my friend kicked out. She was thinking of bringing a Trumper to the debates. Again, Democratic debate. But but she's worried about getting completely kicked out for that, and she still wants to like make friends. So that's a difficult situation for her. So I'm trying to be, I'm not going to make fun of either candidate. I'm just going to do my AI voice narration.
This is a great opportunity for you, Cade. Remember selling those energy drinks? This is your time to shine, buddy.
Ooh.
You know, I was going to say this earlier, and I really wish X would do this, is they should start marketing X on other platforms. Well, I bought an iPhone, admittedly bought a newer iPhone, like the big one, the Max or whatever, the other day to start
Thank
hosting from.
God. iPhone
Be-
user, let's go.
because I can't. It's only by force, because if I host a big space from Android, it just breaks. So I'm forced to buy an iPhone. Just want to throw that out there. But when I searched for the X app to download in the iPhone App Store, it listed TikTok as the top result, which I thought was very interesting. It was an advertised space. X should be doing that. I remember a year ago when there was TikTok ads all over this fucking platform. They should be advertising X out there and breaking us out of our bubble.
Elon doesn't believe in advertising, I think, because he doesn't advertise like Tesla, but I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like he doesn't just advertise any of the companies.
He only does earned media. That's correct. Now, there was an article that said that they were going to test some advertising for Tesla with a small budget, but to my knowledge, that was later debunked. So it's earned only.
But this is the other.
Done
They
some small
they did talk about some.
But that's Tesla. This is X, and this is what all of the other social media, and it's effective. You know what I mean? Like, it drew my attention right away when I typed in X and I see TikTok above it. Right, I'm searching for a social media platform, and its biggest competitor is listed above it. That's got to have a huge impact on traffic to download the app. Like, oh, why is this one up top? So like, I just think that they should at least consider, because I just went to Florida. I met a bunch of X creators down there, and then I also met a bunch of family, right, who are my age and older, and not one of them knew what the hell I was talking about on anything on X. And they were like moderate to conservative, right? So we're in a bubble here. I really feel like I wish that they would market spaces and live on other platforms. If they were able to clip, us interacting with our elected representatives or some of these celebrities or notable figures, and broadcast that and say, hey, you want the opportunity to engage directly with these people, you can only do that on X. I think it would be a winner. I think that would be a real win for them.
I hope that we see something happen to move things in the right direction. But yeah, just to reiterate, because we will wrap up here soon. I don't have anything after this. I just want to take a walk, to be honest, get some fresh air before my next space. Um, I will just reiterate, there is a lot of content on the timeline that makes no sense why it is doing well nowadays. And a lot of it is just purely stolen. I've seen now more than ever, and largely driven probably by the fact that there's some type of monetization going on. People will find a thread, waste no time within a day. I mean, just one thing, like, I think that there was this one thing that you could look up. It was I looked up the term like 7 raspberries or something, because there was this thread that went viral. It was like boomers, buying their house in 1960 for 7 raspberries and selling it today for,
I
$7
saw
million
that, and there's
or whatever it is.
yeah.
If you Google, or if you Google, if you put 7 raspberries into the search engine, look at how many people are just copy pasting this same video, the same thing within a week, and they're just getting like 300,000 likes on every single one of them. It just doesn't make sense to me. Or just like the same people are like, wow, I saw that video 2 days ago and it was super funny. I like it again now. And then some of the other stuff just doesn't make any sense, that is going viral. I mean, one of the posts that I put up top, maybe there's an inside joke here. They posted the guy holding, just like a tomb with like, I don't know. I guess that's a Hispanic joke, and maybe I get that a little bit more. But like some of the other ones of like this guy like productivity hack, dip your phone in syrup, and he's like, when I'm working out, I put my phone in a bowl of corn syrup. I don't know. I guess it was supposed to be like stupid and funny and stuff like that, but these things get like 100 comments and like 4.5 million views and 130,000 likes. So something is off, and I guess people maybe are just liking more than ever and commenting less than ever, because maybe that's what happens when you make, comments hidden or something like that. But yeah, something's got to change there. And then, of course, with Spaces, there's so much more that they could do. But hopefully, this was helpful. I mean, just throwing our ideas around. I don't know if we brought any solutions necessarily in, but I like the discussion and just the discourse. And we did have Nate on last week, which was helpful because he was able to give some thoughts. Obviously, make sure you're following Diligent. He's going to be having on Mark Common from the team so that you can
Are you
actually
going to be
talk to
there
him.
tomorrow, Wolf?
What time?
It's going to be. I had him do it an hour earlier, so it's going to be 9:30 Eastern as opposed to 10:30 Eastern. So it's an hour earlier than what it is usually because he's on Pacific time.
It's a better time for me than I would say the other one. And this is going to be the one that they posted from the X Spaces thing. Perfect.
Yeah,
Wow,
yep.
1.4 thousand reminder set.
Yeah, dude. Look at the impressions and the reminder set. That's going to be a massive space
Jeez,
tomorrow.
are they running like an ad on that? They got 9 million views.
I don't know. I don't know because they posted it before, but they used hashtags, emojis, and they added me. They used my @ and it didn't get shit for impressions. It didn't get shit for reservations. They did a clean version this time. I think it's because you can't use hashtags and @
Dude, it
and
only has
emojis.
57 total quote tweets and retweets
How,
and 9
how many
million views.
comments? 9 million views. How many comments is
They
Diligent
turned
botting
off
things
It
now?
comments.
doesn't have too
They
many
turned off
comments because
comments.
it's it's a community post, so you can't comment unless you're
Oh,
part of it. Which like it's a very few people
that,
who are part of that community.
And
By
I
the
I don't
way,
actually
understand how
think
that
they're
gets 9 million
promoting. I
views.
think they're boosting community posts. I've noticed
probably.
sometimes when I share a link in my Spaces community, I do that instead of a normal post. It actually performs better, and so that might be part of why it's getting amplified. But or it just because they hit some toggle on it and made it said make this bitch go out. I don't know.
Yeah,
The
but why
the
aren't
the
community
rat.
posts
Sorry.
I don't know whoever's talking. Go ahead, go ahead. I'll ask after.
No, I'm sorry, girl. I just want to tell Wolf. I think I have the like source origin video of the 7 raspberry boomer post thing.
Yeah.
I just DM'd it to you. It's from Mega Boss. And
Okay. I mean, I just see, I mean, there's like 2 or 3 accounts that post it once a
yeah,
week. And these accounts really
it's from
only
Tik.
started getting like this once there was monetization involved. There used to be no reason for them to like just repost the same content like to this. I don't know, just change it up a little bit or, add a new video or something like that. I'm not against like, I mean, Alex talks about it. There's nothing wrong with like reusing some of your old content, but maybe like not one day after it was posted by someone else with the exact same caption and the exact same video. I don't know, maybe just a smidgen of creativity or, shame. What happened to shame? That's all I say. But yeah, this was super fun. I appreciate the whole panel for coming on and hanging out with us. Make sure you are setting a notification for Diligence 1.4 thousand notification set space that's coming up. That's going to be a good one. I'll be back on Spaces in 52 minutes. I'm going to be talking about I don't know, something, trading, investing, all that good stuff that I like to talk about. And then I'll be off later tonight for a wedding. I know, a wedding on a Thursday. Can you believe it? But that's what's happening. So thanks again to the huge panel being here today. This was super fun. Catherine, Sarah, Roz joining us with a lot of the regulars. Penny always co-hosting this. Diligent. Stockbroker News is on here for a little. Lucas, Andrew, Ani, Asia. Of course, Action popped in first. This was really, really fun. We are actually next week going to take a 1-week break because next Thursday is 4th of July. And I don't want to subject y'all to having to be on Spaces on 4th
It's
of
my
July
birthday,
to
by the
go.
way.
It's my brother's birthday and my cousin's birthday as well.
It's my wife's birthday. What is going on?
It's a very popular. What's 9 months before 4th of July?
I
I'm just
like your
asking.
wife more than I like you, Action.
Don't we
Most
all?
people do. Most people do.
And so yeah, so I will be off. We won't have an X Spaces crew next week. I was thinking about doing a Wednesday and moving stuff, but whatever. I think people are gonna be on vacation and having a fun time. So 2 weeks from now, we'll be back. Alex is also on vacation in Greece for this week and next week, anyways. So we'll be back on in 2 weeks and be running with it. And I'll shoot out invites and let everyone know. So looking forward to it, everybody. If you want more spaces, just check out my account in 50 minutes. Take care, everybody. Have a great one. Follow everyone on stage. Subscribe. Enjoy your lives.
Yeah, everyone.